Hey everybody, it's Sabrina here at J&M. I'm here with Johnny. He's one of our driver recruiters here at J&M, so we just wanted to chat with him a little bit about what that process looks like from his perspective. So Johnny, I guess we'll go ahead and jump into it. So what is one of the kind of first things you discuss with a driver or a potential J&M driver when they call you?
So when a driver calls me, the first thing I want to find out is, well, where do they live and what are they looking for? That's kind of a big question. You know, I want to know what they're looking for in a job. Is their priority home time? Is it, pay? Is it benefits? I mean, every driver's different. One driver may call and want to make a move because he's not making enough money where he's at, or another driver, might have a new baby in the mix and wants to get home more. There's so many different reasons, so I think establishing why are you wanting to make the move in the first place, why you're not happy where you're at, is probably one of the first things you want to, figure out when talking to a new driver, potential driver.
So Johnny, what are the minimum requirements that you look for a potential J&M driver?
So our minimum requirements are, there's a couple things, it's on our website if you want to check it out. You got to have at least a year of tractor trailer experience. We bumped that back. It was 18 months, it's now a year. You want to have a good driving record. You don't want to have more than 3 moving violations or accidents, in the last 3 years. Of course, criminal history plays a factor. We don't want any felonies or anything in the last 5. The work history part, really when I hire drivers, and I think most of our recruiters here, we look at the big picture, the overall application. If you have, a couple 15 over tickets, obviously we won't be able to work with you. Or if you just graduated from a school, we don't have any, programs in place to bring that driver on unless he's got a year. But if you're marginal, we take into account, your work history, your driving record. There's a lot of things we take into account, So there's our minimum requirements are out there, but that's not the only thing we base our hiring on. We look at everything, every aspect of that driver.
What would you say to somebody who's seen tankers, thought about getting into tankers, but maybe hasn't made that jump yet because they're a little uncertain about what goes into being a tanker driver?
That's a good question. So my experience, I never drove a tank until I came to J&M. A lot of guys see tanks, and the tanking industry really is the next, just in my opinion, the next evolutionary step in a trucker's career. Anybody can drive a dry van, not knock a dry van. But tanks is just a more prestigious thing for drivers to, accomplish. So they do seem intimidating sometimes, overwhelming. If you take a look at a pneumatic tank and you don't know what you're looking at, there's a lot of valves, a lot of gauges, it's noisy, it can be very intimidating, And it's like I tell drivers that are in class, I tell them all, it's, when you get to know the tank, it's really quite simple, Tanks is it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. You're not sitting behind a wheel all day. You're live loading, you're live unloading. You've got a big responsibility to sit there and make sure that, that product is unloaded properly. And it's all on you. You watch the gauges. It's really an art. And, tankers, those drivers really like what they do. So I would encourage anybody who's, at least call me and let me give you my opinion on it. I might persuade you to get into tanks. I've not met many people who's got in it and been disappointed. So.
What advice do you give to a driver who, maybe wants more home time but is worried about that, that paycheck discrepancy? They want to be home, but they have to make a specific amount of money.
Sure.
Is there any advice you have for them or some programs J&M offers to kind of offset that?
Well, drivers know that there's the sacrifice, right? If you want to be home more, you're probably going to make less. If you want to make more money, you got to be away from home a little more. That's not really the case with J&M. Our local drivers make great money here, very competitive. Our regional drivers make good money. J&M overall, we don't really have a lot of guys that are over the road. traditional over the road. They don't stay out weeks at a time here. Our longest, the guys that stay out the longest we're talking maybe 5 days, 4 days. And that's a small percentage of all of our drivers. So I think, me personally, I was home most nights when I drove here. I had a great check on Fridays. A lot of our drivers do. Our new pay plan that we just rolled out, a few months old now, it's been 5-10% increase across the board. It helped out a lot of local drivers. Also another good way, drivers can maximize their income, even if you're local. We've got an awesome referral bonus in place. If you're a kind of guy like me that likes talking to people, we give you $2,000 for a referral. It's one of the best referral programs in the business. And you get $1,000 of that right up front. There's no gimmick. Once they deliver their first load, $1,000, and you get the other two payout, in 500 amounts later down the road at 60 days and 180 days. So good referral program, you make some extra money that way. Our trainers, you can be a trainer. They make extra money, training the new guys. Again, that's what I did when I was, local. I wanted to make as much as I could and still be home every day. So I trained, I referred people. We got guys that do it every day. So, there's ways to even maximize that.
And then kind of the last question here is, what would you say to a new grad, so somebody who maybe just got their CDL or is thinking about getting their CDL? What industry advice do you have for them, not only as a previous driver, but now as a driver recruiter?
Well, so it depends a lot on the individual. I say that because when, there's a couple of avenues you can take when getting a CDL. Whether you're wanting to get one or you got one from a school and you have no experience. If you want to get your CDL and you don't have it yet, you can always sign up with a trucking company, big box company, Swift, Werner, those guys. The downside with that is they'll pay for it, but you got to sign a contract. And if you don't fulfill that contract, they usually get it back. You got to pay that back. You could go to a community college. That's a pretty popular option. It's not quite as much as the trucking schools if you have to pay it back. But then you're kind of burdened with, well, now who will hire me with no, experience? Another way, and what I generally say to drivers who are trying to get their CDL that don't want to go over the road or with a big box company is there's a lot of local vendors out there. The local guys like PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, all those companies you see running, in your city, a lot of those guys will pay for your CDL, help you get your CDL, and you can stay local. If you're wanting more than that, more money, or maybe you want to go over the road, I would go to a company that offers school. A lot of guys go with, like I said, Swift, Werner, Schneider, those places, and they'll pay for your CDL. And you'll drive with them. Like I said, again, the downside is you got to sign the contract. So ultimately, I would say explore your options. Google it. See what is best for you financially, and the bigger thing is see what's best for you, for your quality of life. If you can't afford to go over the road, and spend weeks away, maybe you look into local vendors, maybe you look into a community college and then a reputable company who will take new grads. But there's several options. I'll be more than happy to talk to any driver if they want to give me a call. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, Johnny. If anybody has any questions, feel free to contact us. We'll include our recruiter's phone number in the caption above, and then you can always visit our website to fill out an application, or all of our recruiters also have social media as well as our social media page. So reach out to us if you have questions, and we'll get them answered to you.
Stay safe.